Tashidele to everyone. So today's class will be on Tibetan conversation, and the topic of today is how to introduce yourself in Tibetan. So you may see in the introductory page that I have written the root mantra of Manjushri, and this is because Manjushri is considered to be the Lord of most excellent speech. And so through his blessing, may all of us be able to learn and understand and speak the most excellent speech. So the first way to greet someone in Tibetan, and the most common one, is Tashi Dele. Tashi Dele. Tashi Dele. So Tashi Dele is a phrase which is made of two parts. The first one is Tashi, and the second one is Dele. So as you see, the word Tashi means good fortune, and the word Dele means good health. So when we use these two words, we are conveying someone a message, or we're greeting them, and by telling them that I'm wishing you a good health and a good fortune. Now, in Tibetan, we may also greet people in different manner. There are other ways to greet people, and we can greet people according to different time of a day. So the first one is Shokpa Dele. Shokpa Dele. Shokpa Dele. So the phrase Shokpa Dele is made of two words. The first one is Shokpa, which means morning, and the second one is Dele, which means good. So this phrase actually means good morning, and it should be used during the morning when you're greeting someone. You can either greet them as Tashi Dele or Shokpa Dele, where we are wishing someone to have a good morning. Now, the other way to say good morning is Ngatro Dele. Ngatro Dele. Ngatro Dele. So this phrase is made out of two words, Ngatro and Dele. So you might think, what is the difference between Shokpa Dele and Ngatro Dele? So the main difference is the actual reference of the word Ngatro, which refers to a morning, but a little bit earlier in the morning. So earlier morning, whereas Shokpa Dele can be used in the time frame of an early morning to a late morning. Whereas Ngatro Dele is only used when we're greeting someone and when we meet them during an early morning. So Ngatro means morning, Dele means good. So we're wishing someone a good morning. Nyingkung Dele. Nyingkung Dele. Nyingkung Dele. So this phrase is used normally when you meet someone during the afternoon. So the meaning is, I wish you have a good afternoon. So the word Nyingkung means afternoon, and Delek means good. Chidro Delek. Chidro Delek. Chidro Delek. So this is a greeting that we used when we are greeting someone during evening. So when we say Chidro, it means evening, but not late evening. It means a time in between 4 and 6 in the evening. So Chidro Delek. Chidro means evening. Delek means good. So this means good evening, or I wish you have a good evening. Tsemo Delek. Tsemo Delek. Tsemo Delek. So this phrase means I wish you have a good evening. But now the difference between this and the earlier one, Chidro and Tsemo, is that Tenmo is referred to a time of a day where it is evening, but it is a late evening, something that's after 7 o'clock. So we greet the people we meet at that time by saying Tenmo Delek, good evening. And Kukamsang, Kukamsang, Kukamsang. So this phrase, Kukamsang, is a greeting that you can use in any of the time of a day. It means I wish you have a good health. So this actually has one more variation, which says Tusum Delek, which means I wish you good health during all the 3 times. But normally we use Kukamsang, which means I wish you have a good health. Kukam means health, sang means good. So these are the ways you can actually greet someone. Normally we hear people just say Tashi Delek, but there are various ways to greet people, like we have learned here. And you can use any of these when you meet someone new or when you meet someone you already know. Now, this is how you will introduce your name to someone when you're going to tell someone what your name is. Nye mingla tenzi sirkiyo. Nye mingla tenzi sirkiyo. Nye mingla tenzi sirkiyo. So in this phrase or the sentence, we have words such as nye, which means my, ming is name, and ser actually means called. So we see that even though the actual translation says my name is called Tenzin, but this is not very suitable or is not very correct in the context of English grammar. So we write it as my name is Tenzin. Nge mingla Tenzin sirkiyo. Now there are other ways to introduce yourself. Now these ways of introducing yourself can be because of the kind of setting that you are in. Sometimes you can use a more informal way of introducing yourself, like the way we did by saying Nge mingla Tenzin sirkiyo. And then there are certain other words by other ways by which you can introduce yourself in a more formal way. So other ways of introducing your name, which means I am called Tenzin. So this is a more formal way of introducing your name. It is used when we are saying this to someone who is elder. So in the Tibetan word Gemba or elder, it's a very interesting word. And that is because when we say elder, we don't refer only to people who are older than us in age. We also refer to the people who are either more respected because of their achievement or because of the position they have, and they're also called the elders. And so if you're going to say my name is Tenzin or my name is whichever name you have to someone who is elder than us, we will say Ngala Tenzin sirkiyo. Now, another way to introduce yourself in Tibetan, your name in Tibetan is Nge mingla Tenzin labkiyo. So you will notice that now the word ser has been substituted by the word lab. Lab is actually a more informal way of saying it. And the difference between, in Tibetan, there are 2 types of words that we are using. One is the written language and one is the spoken language. So lab is more popular in the spoken language, whereas ser is more popular in the written language. But when we are speaking it in a more formal context, mostly we will use the written language rather than the spoken language. So, Nge mingla Tenzin labkiyo. Nge mingla Tenzin labkiyo. Nge mingla Tenzin labkiyo. So this sentence or this phrase, it tells that my name is Tenzin, but in a more informal and more spoken, in a more context, in a more spoken language. Now, this is how you will ask someone else's name in Tibetan. So we must always understand that when we're speaking Tibetan, the other thing we must keep in our mind is that there are some things called the honorifics. So in our culture, we have the context in which we're using honorifics and those which we are using as the normal terms. So this sentence, Kerang gitsenla kang shugi. Kerang gitsenla kang shugi. Kerang gitsenla kang shugi. So this is actually a more formal way of saying it, and it's a more formal way with an honorific. And the honorific here used is the honorific for the word name. Normally, when we are speaking without using honorific, we will say Ming. But when we are using it with an honorific, we will say Ten. And then there's this other word that is Shu. Shu is also an honorific of Lap. So you see that this is used as an honorific. One must understand that when we're speaking Tibetan, just because we're using honorific doesn't mean that we're using it in a formal setting. Sometimes it is just a way to show our respect to someone. So this is not a formal setting or a formal way to say it, but it is with honorific. So, Kenan gitsenla kan shui. So the other way to say it is Kenan gitsenla kan shui. So this is also with honorific, but without more formal setting. It is in a more informal setting. Keran la kang shui. Keran la kang shui. Keran la kang shui. So this is more in the context of honorific, but one must understand that still this is not in a formal setting. Now, Keran gitsen sambo kare. Keran gitsen sambo kare. Keran gitsen sambo kare. Here we see that not only are we using honorific, we will see that this is used in a more formal setting. So this type of this way of saying, or this way of asking for someone's name, is used in a more formal setting where you are in the company of someone in a more formal setting. You will ask them, which means, what is your good name? Now, we can also use this, and this is neither honorific nor in a formal setting. So we can ask someone names by saying, Kerangi Muming Kare. Kerangi Muming Kare. Kerangi Muming Kare. So this, as we see, is a way to ask someone's name in a more informal or a more relaxed way, where we are neither in a formal setting nor we are using honorifics. So these you can use with your friends or someone who are either at the same age group of yourself or someone who are younger than you. So this is actually how we can actually introduce ourselves, and then we can introduce our name, as well as we can ask for someone's name in Tibetan. So if you have any questions, you may ask me now, or if you want me to repeat anything of any one of those, you can ask me.
Yes, Tenzin, I have a question. Could you please go back to the slide? I think there are different ways to ask you by your name. Yes, exactly. So for I think I would like to know, for example, here Gang, what does it mean?
Okay, so Kang is actually it is a word which means what in English. So we will understand that Kang is actually even more interesting than the actual translation, because Kang, when it is being added to another word, like Kang itself has a meaning of more like what, but then it is also strange because Kang is also something that is a adjoining word. It is a word that is adjoined with another word to give up a meaning. So in certain contexts, we might also say that Kang doesn't have any meaning of its own. But then in a more general sense, if we talk about more general sense, we can say that Kang in this sentence means what. So any other question?
Tenzila, I have another question.
Yes.
Coming back to that, right?
Yes.
The question what you end with Yuna. Is there a reason Kirangi Tena Gang Ju Yuna?
Yes.
Why do we need na at the end?
Okay, so the thing is that this is something that has been used again and again and has been changed to na. Na actually is mostly it's like a sound that is transforming the entire sentence into a question. But in written language, what we do is that instead of na, we will write something called nam. So nam is a participle which changes a sentence into question. But the thing is that the spoken language has actually, in a sense, made it into in this form of structure where instead of saying nam, we are more used to saying na. So in written language, by the rules of grammar, this should be nam. But because this is more popularized in spoken language, so I have written it as na.
All right. So another word, which means that even if the word gang exists, that means a question word exists
Yes.
in a sentence, we still need to end the question with nam, dam, that particle, right?
Yes.
The question particle.
Yes. We will end the question with, when it is written, we will, in written language, we will end it with nam, or any one of those particles.
Right, the particles, right.
Yes,
okay.
which of the particles that follows it, right?
Right.
So any other questions?
You mentioned Dusum Dele. When do we actually say Dusum Dele, and why do you say Dusum Dele? Which 3 times?
Yes. So when we say tusum, normally we refer to the most common setting of time, which is the morning, the noon, and the night or evening. You know. So tusum deli actually means that I'm wishing you a good day. You know, like it's saying like I'm wishing you a good day, but it's a manner of saying it by dividing a day into 3 different times. So I wish you a good day. Tusum tele.
Okay.
Yeah.
The final question would be, evening you said is chidro, right? But there's also another. I've learned the word gongzhou dele, which
Yes.
is evening.
Yes.
So what's the difference between gongzhou dele and chidro dele?
Okay, so the word gong and the word chi, these are the difference. So the thing is that the word chi is a word that by itself means late. So chidro means a time which is late in a day. So therefore, by this context, it becomes evening. But the word gong, it doesn't mean late. It just refers to the time which is normally the late evening, gong zhuo. So we also use the word shopa and gong zhuo. And then in more spoken language, we also say gonda, you know. So gonda is actually a word that means late evening or night. So the word gong is used to refer to as being the evening by the word itself. But the chi it doesn't mean evening, it just means late. So a time of a day which is late. And so by this logic, we just call it late evening or evening actually. It's called evening. So it's like I said, it is between 4 o'clock to 6. So chidro, whereas gongzhou will actually go even more late than chidro, you know. So it's used in referring to mostly the time when it's late evening or it's the night. Yes. Any other questions?
I don't have any other questions.
Okay.
No other questions.
Okay. So this will be the class for today, and the thing is that I will be posting the classes on how to pronounce the basic sounds. So I hope that you would check those out. And then as we progress, I will try to make this conversation class more interactive. And as we're moving on with these classes, one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to focus more first in the reading aspect of everything. And then we will incorporate more conversation and more scripts. So yes, and then I have also shared files in the file section of Tibetan Conversation where you can find the nouns that are used, that can be used with this type of conversation, some of the names, and probably I will upload a file that will contain most of the common names in Tibetan. And if any one of you want me to add the common names of your country, just send me the names in English and I will transliterate them into Tibetan. So this will be the class for today, and I will see you in the next class. So thank you very much.
Tenzin La,
Yes.
if you and agree, you can stop recording now, and then I would like us to discuss a little bit, but the extra class, please. Yes.
Yes. Okay, then.